Vietnam is a war-characterized country. More of its details is going to be seen in today's program. Nabaweesi Leira, more on this. Vietnam is one of the most unique and fastest developing countries on this planet, a place of explosive megacities, rapidly developing beach towns, and an economy powering forward with unbelievable speed. But it was not always like this. Not long ago, Vietnam was a nation crushed by venom, torn apart by decades of wars, invaded again and again, and pushed into a revolution. So, how did a country known by suffering transform into Asia's fastest growing country? A rising hard in innovation, trade, and youthful invasions. How did it build itself into a real destructive and rise again, faster than any other nation expected? Long before the wars, the reforms and coffee-filled streets wasn't with strudels. It began with a legend according to Vietnam's tradition. The story starts thousands of years ago with a white man, La Lang Kung Kwan, a dragon lord of the city, and Akol, a highland snow fairy. The union pushed 100 sons and the ancestors of Vietnamese people. So, 50 fold their mother and 50 fold their father to the coast. It's a poetic way of explaining this. Just like the photographs displayed, relationships by jungles, rivers, and the sea, a symbolic origin of the people who would spend millenniums explaining unity. However, they are all united under a legendary king, explaining Vietnam's first protest. Wet rice farming and tight-running village life, storm ionic nota, and conic heart that doesn't exist nearly 3,000 years. Vietnam is soon colliding with one of the history's most powerful empires. In in 101 BEC, the Han Empire conquered Vietnam, leading to nearly 1,000 years of Chinese domination. Script, confusion, bureaucracy, new farming techniques, making and stockcrafts flooded into the region. Resistance movements rose again and again, some dramatic and unforgettable, drunken sisters riding on elephants, others to the villages to preserve their customs. After a millennium of occupation, the long struggle for independence finally came and succeeded in 1938 EC when Gu Chan defeated Chinese forces at the Battle of Bang Dan River. This battle led to the birth of Dai Viet, a confident new state known as the Great Dai Viet, over the following centuries. However, all dynasties shaped the kingdom. Double and Durai court organized government system, extended infrastructure, promoted confusion and education, a sophisticated culture, and fostered nations. There was a Mongol invasions of the Viet and the Champa, where all victories secured a devoted space for the victories, secured a cemented sense of pride and the great state. Around the 15th century, lately the dynasty of the 1428 and 1497 is what many consider as Vietnam's golden age. Marked by the territorial expansion, but unity did not last. On the 17th century, the country spread into two powerful families, the Treni and the North, Nguyen in the south, despite the division of Vietnam, continued to push the frontiers and extended deep into the mid-Kaltem Delta. During these trips, unusual trek took place and the rise of the surname Nguyen. Many families adopted this. Up until now, very many families in Vietnam have a surname Nguyen on their last name. This is why today, over 40% of Vietnam share this surname. In 1902 to 1945, Gia established the Nguyen dynasty, Vietnam's final imperial dynasty, and marked the end of the imperial era. Vietnam stood as a servant monarchy through the resistance and unaware that it was about to collide with riding forces in the century. Ahead, when the Nguyen dynasty entered the 19th century, Vietnam was united, confident, and deeply rooted in its traditions, but not forgetting the world was shifting so fast. In 1958, French wasps attacked nearly conquered Vietnam for nearly a century, but in the 1900s, the country had been folded into France and China inside the Ecombadia. That transferred Vietnam into massive ways. Green plantations, new wave industries, the Hashtag were forced labor and existed to serve the growing appetite of Vietnamese empire. On May 1890 and September 2, 1996, it was a young man named Nguyen Sinh Quang in this time that formed the Ho Chi Minh dynasty. He is known for having traveled around the world, learning bakery, studying machines, and only to back face the colonial rule in Vietnam, whereby nearly a time he came back well known for his strongest voice, calling for Vietnamese independence. He called communism and strategy and wanted to end foreign rule. He ended up calling for independence of Vietnam. In 1946 to 1954, the First Indochina War arose where Vietnam fought to France for independence. They fought this battle years, and many lost their lives, as well as resulted in two communist division, where communists went to the north supported by China and the USSR, and the US backed the south anti-communism regime, what was meant to be temporarily a war that resulted into a civil war. Later on, Vietnam has been improving now and then. Now and then. We see now Vietnam is one of the toppest countries with well-organized infrastructure, that new inventions in cars, latest bikes, latest cars, new models where they improved and improvised the worst techniques.